not just his son, it's our daughter, our sons, our friends, our lovers, our mothers and fathers. It's everyone. It's collective, it's universal. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ali, of course, and today I'm so excited to bring this video. Sorry for the background. I thought the buds had sprouted, but no. Spring has yet to come, but there's a nice sun and you have daisies, which are one of my favorite flowers. But yes. So, there are times when words and language become much more. They become healing, they become cure, they might be even prayer. And this is a theme I've been reflecting on because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, reading this book called The Poetry Pharmacy. If you didn't know, The Poetry Pharmacy is this really nice ensemble of poems gathered together by this guy here, which is called William C. Card. And the premise of the book goes something like this. You don't need to be a poet to find solace in poetry. That's the premise of the book. For every single thing you feel, there's a poem to cure it, right? And there is a power to words that many people often underestimate. And I've been finding myself constantly thinking about this lately. And I was stunned when he said, since then, these careful crystallizations of feelings, thought, and experience have been loyal and generous companion to me, even in the most difficult of times. Again and again, in my loneliest hours and in my most tumultuous, I have discovered the greatest solace in finding, reading, and sometimes memorizing the perfect poem for the moment. And when I read this, I was really interested because it made me think or want to go back to a poem that I used to go back to a lot last summer, which is Love After Love by Derek Walcott. The story of it is actually really funny to me because the first time I heard this poem was read by an actress, Elena Bonham Carter.
Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit. Feast on your life.
And it touched me so deeply because I was going through a difficult moment, and it made me want to learn it by heart, to have it always with me. And I remember in moments of difficulty, I would just recite it back to myself and almost say it like a prayer, right? And the fun fact is that in this book, The Poetry Pharmacy, there is Love After Love by Derek Walcott, and I stumbled upon it. It was great because it made me realize that poetry doesn't save your life, okay? I'm not saying that you should memorize poems and that when you're feeling awful, you will just repeat one to yourself and you will be cured suddenly and magically. That's not what I'm saying, all right? I don't want this message to be shared. I want you to know, though, that poetry has this salvific power that many people underestimate. Even now, we consume poetry. We consume a lot less poetry if you think about it, and we don't consume it properly. Though there is no proper way to consume poetry if you think about it, but there are ways to read it and interpret it that we have been completely just going over. We're just reading a poem thinking it lovely, but the magic of poetry is going back to it continuously in order to grasp the full concept. Go back to a poem even when you feel sad and anger, and you'll find that the poem has so many things to reveal to you. And I believe in its salvific power. I believe that when I am sad, when I am hurting because my heart is aching, because I feel unlovable, because, I've been going through heartbreak, Love After Love can save me. I believe that to my core. I believe that when Shakespeare said, fear no more the heat of the sun nor the furious winter rages, uh, it was an invitation for me, Allie, to just get out of my bed and go into the world. And it's an invitation for you who are watching this video, right? The thing is, poetry puts into words what you don't have the courage to say. And that's the core of it. That's the alchemy of words. It's, if weighed properly and put together in the correct order, words become matter, human matter. That, you have to believe me when I say this, it begins to have a physical resonance. I'm thinking of this video I saw by Ted Jones called The Sermon. Look at him.
You must not sit around and wait. You must not sit around and wait for that mythological right guy to come along. No, pretty baby, you should read Gregory Corso's poem Marriage before ever doing that bit. You may not fit. You should dig the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and even Oriental Zen. Read it all, but only have eyes for that which you need. Don't get hung up like your parents. Don't get hung up like your parents. Here we go again. You should dig your parents. You should learn everything you can in school, then come out and use it against them. You should visit your psychiatrist as often as you visit your dentist. Once a year, starve those meddling bastards. You should love your life out. You should love your life out. You should love your life out and live by loving every minute in it.
His word is flesh. You feel it, you see it. You feel it in your body, but you see it in his body, the way he moves his hand, the way the intonation of the voice goes, the breath. Because language is not decoration, though we use it like that in today's society most of the time. But it's human matter. I've been going back to this concept, and I will go back through it throughout the whole entire video. It's breath, it's rhythm, it's sound. It's something that comes out of the body, my body, to enter your body or to enter anyone's body, truly. And maybe that's why poetry has always existed, to sort of mend and to revive and to save, to love, to even kill. To me, poetry is prayer. And the magic of poetry being prayer is that it doesn't necessarily have a God. You don't have to worship a single person. I think you worship the act of just putting words that you worship other people. You worship the people who have been here before you and who have felt and written this. And it's a way to connect to deeper parts of yourself, right? My experience with poetry is actually quite interesting because I got close to it after I lost a friend of mine. Experiences of intense grief are really difficult to decipher, especially at a very young age, because when you're a teenager, nobody prepares you to lose a friend that's your age. Like, maybe when you're 14, okay, you might lose your grandparents and you think that's the course of life because they've grown old, and that doesn't mean that the grief is not perceived, but it's also somehow prepared. But to have and to lose something in its sprouting, it's like buds and flowers, it's like in the spring of life, to lose that, it's quite sad and disheartening and confusing. And so that's how I got close to poetry, right? And I didn't really know how to consume it, but I only knew that I found great comfort in those words that I was reading it. And sometimes I would learn or rewrite lines, but I would never learn them by heart. And then I got my heart broken, and in a weird way. So I felt the need to go back to something that was somehow sure and certain. And words put together in a specific way helped me keep my balance sometimes. I would read them and I would find comfort because I saw that other people suffered the way I did, and it wasn't necessarily a thing that I had to go through alone. So words even create the sense of community. I'm amazed every time I read a book that maybe is centuries old, because I think, oh my God, people have been reading this for so long and they have been finding meaning, they have been finding purpose, they have been finding love and resonance for so long. We hold such power with words, and we underestimate it, right? And last summer, I learned about Love After Love. I learned Wild Geese because I felt the need to connect with myself, not only with my pain, but to who I was and to where I was going. Because you might be afraid of the future, you might be sad, you might be angry, or you might be in love. And there's poems for people who are in love too, and there's poems for people who love their friends. There's so many poems in the world. That's the fun thing, and you can make them yourself. And another poem that I've read recently I would have loved to find I would have loved to have discovered a long time ago. It's called Frida Kahlo to Marty McConnell, if I'm not mistaken. And he says, "A heart the size of Arizona, but not nearly so arid." Like, don't you feel that in your own heart when I say that? Don't you feel your heart beating and just like pulsating with blood? Don't you feel that your heart is not arid, even if you do not have the person you love, and even if you are not happy with yourself currently, your heart is pumping blood within you. That's physical. That's the power of words. That's the resonance. I do encourage you to check this poem out because it's truly awesome. And it just expresses my point perfectly. And another thing I want to say is that the idea that words are flesh is present throughout all our lives. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned Shakespeare, and recently I've watched Hamnet, and this idea that words have this power permeates our reality and is so palpable.
And listens and listens. He can't contain himself any longer. He turns around to look at her, and she is trapped in the underworld forever.
If you've watched it, I would love to read your comments, and if you haven't, you must, because it's one of the best. It's not, if not the best movie I've ever watched. Like, it's almost topping La La Land. I think it topped it. And if you don't know, Hamnet is about Shakespeare. It's a movie about Shakespeare's son, who he lost when he was really, really young. And it's a story about loss. And what do we do in face of loss? What do we have? And we have words. And what do those words do? They make art, they take shape into theater and movies and cinema and paintings and any possible art form you could probably think of. It pushes grief and every feeling, pushes language to actually take even more physical matter. And this movie did something that is so ancient, but it reminds us that language is not abstract. Words live in the body because any body, and only a body, can birth, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune,
or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
when he says the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that the flesh is heir to. That's us. That's us. That's been us since men and women were in caves. I find it fascinating, truly fascinating. We're so connected. We're so human. We're so raw with emotion, and the only way that we can let it out and we can let it escape is through sound, and is through our words. There's a point in Hamnet where Judith asks, "What is the word?" It's not in the movie, it's in the book. But she says, "What is the word?" Because Judith is the twin sister, Hamnet's twin sister. And now that she's lost him, she doesn't know what she is, right? Because you have a word for a person who lost their parents, for example. That's orphan. But what's the word for when you lose your brother, your twin brother? She says, "What's the word?" Word is, in general, in a broader sense, word is flesh. Words allow us to take the raw material of life, grief, loneliness, desire, memory, and shape it. We began this video with the Poetry Pharmacy, right? This book here, which, by the way, I absolutely recommend you get it. I've been enjoying this a lot, especially this weekend. I had a case of the mean reds, and I don't know, constantly going back to a single poem that said everything will be all right cured me, I guess. But words, poems, at the end of the day, are small acts of faith. We let them hold our life, and look at how beautifully they've been holding it. We have been for 500 years reading, watching, and listening, and celebrating and mourning the death of William Shakespeare's son. But it's not just his son, it's our daughter, our sons, our friends, our lovers, our mothers and fathers. It's everyone. It's collective, it's universal. Once again, word is flesh, it's breath, it's raw, it's life. And this is what I wanted to say with this video. I'm so happy that I finally am able to get this out, because it took me months to arrive to this conclusion, which is some might say quite obvious, but I never seem to find the words to properly say it. Like, you see, I had to make notes. This is months in the making, right? And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you do watch Hamnet if you haven't watched it yet. I sobbed from beginning to end, but it was so truly beautiful. It made me think of my friends. It made me think of my mother and father and sister and loves. It truly left me for days, I'm talking, wondering. And then one night, boom, I had it, the video to put this all together. So this has been so fun to make, so fun to decide which works to feature, because of course I cannot possibly feature every single poem and piece of art that I've loved and that has made me feel this way, but it's probably every single piece of art that I've consumed and that has corroded me somewhat. So thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you a lot. And if you want to read something by me, you can check out my Substack, and yeah, subscribe.